that Chelsea makes.
Oh,
Whoa.
we have won Champions League more than once.
So which
you
cup
If you
have
cannot play
proud
big,
won?
don't come and talk to me.
Yeah, people are too proud.
After 22 years of drought, Arsenal was hoping they were going to crown it with the UEFA Champions League. But PSG, on paper, I mean, we saw it coming that PSG had a better hand, but Arsenal gave a fight for it.
Yeah.
They did all they could, 1-1, and up until I felt for Eze.
Yeah.
I really felt for Eze. But once Eze
So
stood
I
up,
watched the match.
yeah.
Really?
A lot of people actually watched the match. A lot of people, and a lot of people, maybe they were rooting for Arsenal. But when it was the penalty, I just kept going up and down. I said, Arsenal gonna win. No? And it went the way of PSG. And for me, I think Ousmane Dembele gave out his best.
He did.
In that match. And he made PSG really proud. And again, I think it was a good outing for Hakimi. As well. So for us, that we're rooting for PSG to win. Okay.
Congratulations to us. So why is Bature?
We can rest our case.
Why is Bature not at work today?
We will meet next season.
Why is Bature not at work today?
He didn't want to face you. He didn't want you to humiliate him. Anyways, of course, football season ended. A lot of other games now will take center stage. Athletics, UFC for those who watch UFC for those who watch different.
And the World Cup is coming.
The World Cup
this
is
month.
also coming. So that's it. And of course, a couple of other issues that Nigeria is still dealing with are still there. Insecurity is still there. Also, that is in the news this morning. So let's go ahead and take the news points this morning. Shall we begin with you, Atipola?
All right. I love what I'm starting with. 100,000 naira minimum wage, too low. Workers demand 1 million naira. NLC. The spokesperson for the Nigerian Labour Congress, Benson Upah, has described the proposed 100,000 naira national minimum wage being considered by the state governors as unrealistic, arguing that Nigerian workers should earn as much as 1 million naira given prevailing economic conditions. Upah stated this in an interview with The Punch on Sunday while reacting to the comment by the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, who disclosed that governors were considering a new national minimum wage of 100,000 naira. Abdurrazak, in a Facebook post on Saturday, said the proposal was informed by rising inflation, increasing living costs, and growing financial burden on Nigerian workers. According to the governor, state government were already engaging the federal government and organized labor to arrive at a wage structure that balances workers' welfare with fiscal sustainability. Reacting to the proposal, Upah said although the governor's consideration of wage review was commendable, 100,000 naira was significantly below what workers require to cope with current economic realities. We consider it thoughtful of the Kwara State governor to propose 100,000 naira, but certainly this figure falls below the realistic figure going by what is going on in the country presently. The Labour leader cited the continued depreciation of the naira, rising inflation, increases in the electricity tariff, higher fuel prices, declining purchasing power, and the impact of new tax measures as factors making a substantially higher wage necessary. Given the realities around exchange rate, inflation, raised tariff, the surge in the pump price of petrol and associated costs, the decline in the purchasing power of Nigerians, and the effect of the new tax regime on our cost of living, the realistic figure subject to status quo maintenance will be 1 million naira. Upah argued that government revenues have improved significantly and should support enhanced remuneration for workers. In the light of the earnings by government, this should not be a big issue. Check what is being shared at FARC. The windfall from the Middle East crisis put over 5 trillion naira in the treasury, even though this is temporary. The NLC spokesperson further stressed that the workforce remain the most valuable assets of any nation and should be adequately compensated to ensure productivity and economic growth. Finally, please note that the greatest asset of any nation is its workforce. The debate over workers' wages has intensified amid worsening economic conditions following the removal of fuel subsidies and the floating of the naira by the federal government. So, the governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, who is also the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum over the weekend, disclosed that the governors are already discussing with the federal government on the need to increase the new national minimum wage to 100,000 naira. And so the spokesperson of the NLC is here saying that 100,000 naira in Nigeria of today is quite low when you look at the purchasing power of an average Nigerian worker. Gas is high, electricity tariff, transportation tariff, and so on and so forth. So is here demanding for 1 million naira as against 100,000 naira. And for me, I always love to be realistic, looking at the economic condition of Nigeria presently and the reality that's facing us. 1 million naira for me, it's quite much. You can as well demand for 200 or 250,000 naira because of the battles facing Nigerian workers. But 1 million naira, then government will give you a condition that would you want us to downsize? Then we'll pay 100 million naira. 1 million naira rather.
I'm not sure he thought about the figure before he stated this, because when you say 1 million naira, so for at 65 or 75,000 naira, how many states are still battling to pay? And then you are here proposing 1 million naira. If you remember, Joy, I think because you were here, I don't think Ajibola was here. The other day we had a guest here when we talked about Workers' Day, where he said, look, you cannot continue to say that government should increase the salaries. What you should be concerned is about incentives. No matter how much it is that government pays, it will never be enough. And the more you raise the wages, the more inflation will rise. The more the market, the traders will also increase their own commodities. So when you say 1 million naira, rest assured that you're going to start buying a pint of gari at how much. But what government should be looking about, around is, are you able to subsidize transportation, allowances or transportation means of getting to one place or the other for workers? And remember, when labor also does things like this, it is actually for those who work with government. How about the private sector? How do they come about it? How much are they making? That you're proposing 1 million naira, how? And like you rightly put it, what will happen? Okay, so are we going to downsize and say we're going to take just a quarter of the people we have currently? So what's going to happen to the rest of the people? Stay at home and do what? Vital
points, Abimbola, you have raised this morning. And instead of the 1 million, like you rightly pointed out, why not engage government, tell government to do mass housing for Nigerian workers?
Mass transportation, and then, from one point to the other.
All the government by the jugular. This particular government promised CNG buses. I can hardly feel the impact.
There are just a few of them.
Already bending to one side.
Because they're carrying too many people. So these are the things that, labor should actually be canvassing for. Look at better working condition, look at better transportation system, better housing, rather than saying transportation, because salaries. When you say salary, school fees will increase. Rent will increase. On top, how much? And how many people or how many workers or how many employers of labor can actually pay 1 million naira?
I saw the attention that to be paid to the minimum wage when I was reading it. You have not collected your...
Have you collected your... Toby, don't mind Jibola. That wasn't me. Let's take the second story this morning. It is coming from the Oyo abduction, and it says NUT began strike as Tinubu sent 1,000 forest guards on rescue mission. And the story, of course, says the Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, has directed all primary and secondary school teachers in Oyo State to begin an indefinite strike today over the continued captivity of teachers and students abducted from schools in Orire local government area of the state. The union also directed its state wings across the country to organize solidarity rallies tomorrow to demand the unconditional release of the abducted teachers and learners. In a circular jointly signed by the NUT President Comrade Audu Titus Amba and the Secretary General Dr. Clinton Equitable, the NUT expressed concern over what it described as the horrifying, inhumane and traumatic conditions being endured by the abducted teachers and students since their abduction on May 15, 2026. The union lamented that despite previous appeals to government and security agencies to secure the release of the victims, they remained in captivity while reports emerging from the kidnappers' den continued to generate anxiety among teachers, parents and members of the public. According to the statement, the union was particularly disturbed by reports of the killing of some victims as well as emotional appeals allegedly made by the abducted school principal and a teacher calling on the federal government, Oyo State government, the NUT, ANCOPS, and well-meaning Nigerians to intervene and secure their release. And Tinubu, the strike came as President Bola Tinubu approved the recruitment of 1,000 forest guards for Oyo State and ordered the deployment of a specialized rescue team following the abduction. The measures were announced when a high-powered federal government delegation visited Eshiele and Yawata communities, where armed men raided Community Grammar School, Baptist Nursery and Primary School, and LA Primary School on May 15, abducting pupils and teachers. The delegation conveyed President Tinubu's concern over the incident and reassured residents of his administration's commitment to securing their safe return. The delegation also informed community leaders and lawmakers that their request for the establishment of a military base in the area will be transmitted to the president for consideration. Addressing residents in English and Yoruba, Gbajabiamila, the chief of staff to the president, said Tinubu's decision to dispatch top security officials to the affected communities reflected the administration's determination to deploy every available resource to secure the victims' release. I will leave it here. It's actually a very long read. But of course, yesterday, the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, Femi Gbajabiamila, the NSA, Nuku Ribadu, the IGP, a couple of other people were in that community, and they met with family members, especially the husband of the principal. And, they conveyed Mr. President's message. Even though a lot of Nigerians were asking, it's been 2 weeks since this happened. Why is the delegation just going there? I'm not sure anybody would have thought that by now those people will still be held in captivity. And, of course, they would have also expected, now these are my opinions. I'm not speaking, for anybody here, but now these are my thoughts. They would have thought that, of course, this should be handled by the state government. But now that it is taking, this long, there's a need for the federal government to step in. And like I asked Ajibola off camera this morning, what exactly are the abductors asking for? Because if they were asking for money, I don't think it should take forever to pay them this ransom. And we heard the week after this abduction that they said they wanted to speak directly with Mr. Governor, that's the governor of Oyo State. Haven't they reached out to him? Haven't they been able to speak with him? In some quarters, we also heard that some mediators were killed, while trying to mediate. What exactly are these guys asking for? What do they want? Because if it's money, then I think it should have, been sorted by now. Is there something else going on that we do not know? That, the lives of toddlers are being toyed with here. Sometimes I don't even have the strength to listen through sometimes to these videos, because it's so painful that you just wonder what is going on here, that we're witnessing this at this particular point in time. But for whatever is worth, whatever the federal government needs to do, it must be done, and done fast, because we cannot continue to toy with lives. We cannot continue to imagine how these children are in this, with these people, not only the children, but also the adults that are there. But whatever it is that they are asking for, can we please just, sometimes you hear government say we cannot pay ransom. This is not going to happen in this case, because we have children who are, being treated inhumanely where they are. And I think that this has gone too far. 2 weeks is long enough to mess up with the psyche of anybody and whatever it is that is going on. And they also said, the community members also said, the large expanse of land, the reserve area is actually giving these people a field day because they keep moving from one point to the other. We do hope that the military base that they've asked for will be looked into and be sited as soon as possible, but something needs to be done and done urgently.
Urgently, I completely agree with Abimbola. And Mr. President, we need to tell Mr. President some fact this morning. It's not as if Nigerians hate you, but the federal government reacting 2 weeks after those people were abducted, for me, was a very big disappointment. It is your constitutional right to provide welfare and security for Nigerians. If any of those working with Mr. President were affected by this abduction, would it have taken the federal government 2 weeks to react? Then you now approving 1,000 forest guards. This idea of forest guard was first moved in May 2025. In May 2025.
Yeah.
It's over a year and we have not done anything. But simply because children, principals, teachers were kidnapped in Oyo State, you are now deploying 1,000 forest guards to go and rescue those children. Honestly,
is it not better? Is it not?
Abimbola, you said something in May 2025.
Yeah.